All right, what's the deal? What is this?
Okay, there's 10 hives. You can see the cardboard boxes there. That's what you buy them in. And there's a queen and about 10,000 female bees.
Oh man, they're active.
Yeah. But down at the end, we got Russian queen down there.
Oh, right there.
Very aggressive, and they produce. Oh Jesus! I just got stung.
All right, I'm leaving this area.
Let's take our distance here. This is a very active day for them. The sun's out. It's my first sting of the year. Oh God, they're getting me up here.
Oh my God, let's go. Welcome back. We are outside. It is a gorgeous day here in the Midwest, and we are going to review the Durston X-Mid 2P. But first, make sure you subscribe to this channel, click the bell notification so you know when we go live. We do live stream a lot. Check out the merch if you want to support the channel and get some cool swag. Now let's talk about this tent. It's crazy. I got this tent in August of 2020, and it's been a solid year and a half of use. I've used it all over. My dad's used it a bunch, and it's time to give the full review. I'm going to talk about, you know, what I like, what I don't like, the features, the specs, and then who I would really recommend this tent to, and why I still think this is without a doubt the best tent you can get for the money. I will throw the specs up on the screen right now, but the only spec you need to know is that this tent retails on mass drop for around $280, which is incredible for a cottage vendor tent. If you don't know anything about Dan Durston or Durston Designs, he's a really pretty famous hiker and thru hiker, and he started designing tents a while ago through his company Durston Designs, and he started with I believe the Xmid 1P, which is a one-person kind of pyramid-shaped design tent, and he moved up to the 2P, which is what I got, the two-person tent, and he's kind of run from there. One thing to know is the way that he releases tents is he kind of releases mass drops at once on the mass drop site. So he'll let you know, but he'll put out a run a few hundred of these, and then they usually get bought very, very fast. And he does that a couple times a year. Another thing to know is he now makes this tent out of Dyneema. I think that he calls it the Xmid 2P Pro. I think Pro's in the name. It's $700. We're gonna talk about the Xmid 2P today, the more budget-friendly, much heavier version. Let's talk about the design of this tent, because it is pretty unique, and he did a really good job kind of maximizing space to weight ratio. It is a double layer design tent, and that's one of the reasons why I got it. So it has a rain fly over a netting on the inside. One thing that's a little unique about this tent, and you can kind of see it right here, but for an ultralight tent, this is a little unique. This rain fly comes totally off, and you can kind of see it right there. You can use the inside like totally freestanding, so you can get a good look at the shape of the inside of the tent right there. But this whole fly comes off, and you can detach it up there, and you can use this thing just as like a freestanding netted tent. This is a traditional kind of what they call two-pole pyramid design. Something kind of like the Z-Pax duplex, but not really. This kind of reminds me more of like a Hyperlight mountain gear, like that pyramid shaped design. And that's kind of a tried and true design of tents, and it's just a way to maximize kind of livable surface area with reducing the amount of fabric you have to use. God, there's freaking bees! Crystal Lake bees! Let's talk about some of the design features I really like. First, and the reason I got this tent, is I really like the ventilation aspect of it. It's kind of my winter tent because I take it when I'm dealing with condensation issues. So here's another great feature. And the common phrase here is this tent is built for ventilation. So he's got these, and there's kind of like a metal stick in here, but he's got these vents that you can pop, kind of Velcro. You can pop on and off like that. So if you want it closed versus if you want it open, so it's hard to do one-handed while filming, but you just kind of slip it open like that, and there's one on the other side as well. Also, I really like, and I like this about the duplex too, but I really like tents that have two vestibules. It's kind of nice. You can leave one open, you can shut one. You can put gear under one, you can cook under one. I really like the double vestibule design, and I really do like these. They're not huge, but they kind of cut out really well, and they do provide a lot of like usable surface area, and they're easy to get to from the inside of the tent, which makes a lot of difference.
Kind of like most 2 trekking pole ultralight tents now, this one does have 2 vestibules, so one on each side. So once again, helping a lot with airflow. And so this side I have open, and you do get, even when it's open, you do get a little space right there that's enclosed, and then he's got like kind of just a little toggle right here to roll it up. So this side, just for the purpose of this video, is open, and then on the other side there's the other vent I showed you, but I've got this one closed up right here. And so yeah, all that space is usable from the inside.
Durston makes really innovative designs, so I'll show you the inside of the tent right now.
Lots of room, and I could see the middle bass. I could look at the stars through here.
Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I didn't think about that.
Because we had that.
You can see, so this is technically a 2-person tent. It's a 1-person tent for you.
There's no way.
Well, that's what they say. The 2-person tents are really 1-person tents, but you got a lot of space in there.
I do. Well, that's because I can keep everything here.
Well, yeah. Did you like the little organizational pockets? Did you use those right there?
I don't remember using those.
Yeah, you just threw all your crap right there.
I just threw all my crap out on the outside. It was, remember, the homeless look.
Yes, that's your look. So in theory, you can use 4 stakes to get this up in the 4 corners, but I use a ton of stakes with this tent. I stake out the fly and the inner separately. So I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stakes. So I use a lot of stakes. Here you go. Complete the.
See, it fits the Costco chair, and you have your fire there.
Yeah, you have your fire right next to the tent. That's how I get all these little ember holes in it. Another design feature I really like, and most tents I've used that use trekking poles don't do this, but there's a little elastic kind of toggle on here that attaches this pole to the tent. You can kind of see it right there. I like that. It helps the pole stay in place, and then you can see the pole just sticks into a grommet right up there. And then here, I showed this earlier, that little clip right here is how the rain fly comes off. But kind of a little nice attention to detail down there.
In addition to maximizing the usable surface area in this tent, there's a lot of like cool little like innovative pockets on the inside. I like how the vestibules roll up. I like those little air vents I showed you earlier. The design is really cool, and you can tell he took a lot of time to kind of hand tailor it to just maximizing the weight to usable surface area of this tent. This tent is made out of polyester. It's not made of Dyneema, it's not made out of Sil nylon, it's made out of polyester. So what that means is it's super heavy. You know, on the specs earlier, you've seen that this tent almost comes in at like 3 pounds. But the cool thing about polyester is it doesn't sag, which is really nice. So it stays taut the whole night. And then I used this in Nevada actually in like 60-mile-an-hour winds, and it held its shape really, really well. And I also used the guy lines.
He also put guy lines on the outside here, and I have used these before in like serious wind conditions, but he's got one here and on the other side, and I got a little bit of slop here, but otherwise this is actually a pretty good pitch.
And because of the polyester, because of the way it stakes out, because of the guy lines, this thing held up really, really well in super windy conditions, which is something that can be a real pain with ultralight tents. And it's not something I experience a lot in the Midwest, but out in the wind, this tent did really well. Also, because it is polyester, and even though it weighs a lot, it does pack down really, really small. And I think there's value in that. Most people don't care, but I think taking up less space in your pack or on your pack is valuable. And this thing gets really small.
All right, you've stayed in this tent here. You've stayed in this tent multiple nights. This is the official review video.
3 nights. It was a great
What's
tent.
the old man review of this? Now, granted, I set it up for you every time, so you didn't have to set it up.
But I did take it down.
Well, okay, you shoved it in a bag.
I took it down.
What did you think of it?
No, it was a great tent. It was luxurious, roomy, and I could put my stuff in here.
In the vestibule?
Yeah, and I have my own trekking poles now.
Well, that's not part of the review.
That's not part of it. But yeah, it was nice. But remember, I put everything in there.
So you like that's your favorite thing about this, the vestibule space?
Vestibule, and no, my favorite thing was the inflatable mattress we put in there.
Well, okay, once again, we're not reviewing that.
Also, I will say, you know, even though it's quote unquote mass produced by Drop, the build quality is really, really good. Between my dad and I, we've probably done almost 15 or 20 nights in this thing, and you know, like I said, Colorado, California, Lake Erie, Red River Gorge, Ohio, we've used it in a host of different conditions, and the build quality is really, really good. So that's something, you know, you never know, because I'm pretty sure these are produced in China, but I've been very, very happy with this tent from a build quality perspective. It's also fully seam taped. That's kind of nice. So very, very waterproof. I have used it in rain, and that's one thing I love about the double vestibules is it's waterproof tent. And lastly, I think it's really, really cool how modular this thing is. You know, you can use it without the rain fly, you can use it with the rain fly, you can roll up the vestibules, roll down one vestibule, use the air vents, stake it out in different ways. It's super, super modular and really, really cool. And I think it's a very, very well designed, and it does make me want to check out the Dyneema version of this tent. But God, that's expensive. So let's talk about some of the negatives of this tent. So first, and this may or may not be a negative to some people, but the way that it's sold is kind of a pain. Like, you can't just go to a website and buy this. You gotta wait for him to do a run of these, and I get why he does it. I really do. Light AF did the same thing with their tarps. Like, I understand from a manufacturing purpose why they just do a run of them, but it is kind of annoying. You know, this is America, we want it, we want to buy it, we want it now. That's not how it works with these drop tents. So luckily, he's pretty good on Instagram, and you can follow him, and he'll give you a heads up for when these things are gonna drop. But you do have to wait a few times a year max for a window to get these. Another slight negative is just compared to some of the other trekking pole tents that I've used, it does take a little bit longer to set up, but I will say, and I'm showing you the setup shot right now, it took me 6 minutes to set up. And I'm not the best at pitching this thing. It's taken me like a year and a half to really pitch this thing down, but the fact that I got it up in 6 minutes, like, that's really not a negative. That's not a lot of time. I mean, like, I can get the Ultraplex up in 2 minutes, but if it takes 6 minutes, like, it is a little bit more complex to set up than some of the other trekking pole ultralight tents that I have, but it still only took me 6 minutes to set this up, so like, that's still pretty good. By far, it's not gonna be a surprise, is the weight. 2.5 pounds. That's really, really, really heavy for an ultralight loadout. It's so heavy that I don't, this is not my go-to tent, right? I'm using this tent in the winter, and I'm using it in super humid conditions, and then it's kind of my backup tent that I let other people use, like my dad. It's really heavy. You know, 2.5 pounds, versus something like an Ultraplex, which will, or let's say duplex for a 2-person tent, which, you know, will run you over twice as much of the cost, but weighs 20 ounces versus 2.5 pounds. So it's super heavy, but you kind of know that going into it. And I actually really do like polyester as a tent material, but it's just really heavy. That's like the biggest downside to it. But if that's something you're concerned about and you like all the features, check out the one he's made out of Dyneema. And lastly, and we kind of touched on this with the setup, but because it's really, really modular, that kind of just adds a little bit of complexity to the tent, which, you know, good and bad. But yeah, it's not as straightforward as like just throw the thing out, stake it up, boom. You know, you gotta think about how you wanna use it. Do you want the rain fly on? How you wanna stake out the vestibules? Because you can stake them out in a couple different ways. So there is a little bit more of a complexity factor to this tent, and not a huge negative. My final thoughts. I've been very happy with this tent. I got this tent, I wanted primarily a winter tent, and I wanted more space. The Ultraplex is a 1-person tent. I wanted a 2-person tent. I wanted something I could use in the winter when condensation is an issue, and I wanted something that was just like waterproof, ventilated, bomb-proof, and that's this tent, and that's who I would recommend this tent to. It's got its place. For me, it's in adverse winter conditions. I'm not taking this tent on super lightweight trips. I'm taking this tent in adverse weather trips, and it has proven time and time again to be a great tent for that purpose. Also, if you're someone looking to spend 280 bucks, cheaper tent, I mean, this is cheaper than an REI tent. So that's kind of my benchmark for like the cheapness of a good tent, is like compare it to like an REI quarter dome or something. This tent's cheaper than that. So if you're on a budget and you're looking to maximize the best tent for the money, I still think it's this one. Like I said, if you do like all the functions of this tent, I would obviously strongly consider the Dyneema option, but it's like 700 bucks. So I don't want to spend $700 on a tent. I know most people don't, but if you have that budget, I would definitely strongly consider the Dyneema version of this tent. That is it. That is my full review. Almost 2 years with the Durston X-Mid 2P. Can't make a P. Love the tent. It's gonna stay in my outfit for certain trips. I always let other people use it too. It's bomb-proof. Been very happy with it. It did take me a while to kind of figure out how to stake it and use it the best, but I love it. That is it. And we'll catch everybody on the next gear review. Let's go backpacking.